Chad's military names new government. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken accuses China of acting aggressively abroad. And German-led raid against 4 for child sexual abuse network. Details of these and more after this break. I am Omoye Ugbede. Military leaders in Chad who took over after the death of the country's long-standing ruler Idris Deby last month have named a transitional government. An army spokesman said 40 ministers and their deputies had been appointed. They include a former rebel chief, Achek Umar, who will head a new national reconciliation ministry. One senior opposition figure, Saleh Kebzabo, said he recognized the authority of Chad's transitional government, and several other long-time opponents of the former president were given portfolios. But other opposition figures say the military council, led by Deby's son, Mahatma Deby, has carried out an institutional coup and say they won't be satisfied until it appoints a civilian president. The announcement comes hours after the ruling military council had lifted an overnight curfew that was imposed following the president's death last month during fighting against rebels. There has been international concern for the stability of Chad in recent weeks as a rebel group has tried to advance on the capital. The military says it has stemmed their advance and killed hundreds of rebels from the group Front for Change and Concord in Chad. Somalia's Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein has invited the leaders of federal member states for a meeting to end the election deadlock after Parliament cancelled its move to extend the presidential term. The consultative meeting has been scheduled for May 20th. Election talks among regional leaders have collapsed in the past, with the leaders insisting the President Mohamed Farmajo leaves office before elections are held. There had been protests against the failure of the government to hold elections. The Prime Minister ordered the army to return to barracks after Parliament voted to cancel the presidential term's elections. President Farmajo's term ended on February 8th before elections were held due to disagreements with regional states. And United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken has accused China of acting more aggressively abroad and more repressively at home. He said the U.S. did not want to hold China down but would not allow it undermine the rules-based international order. He noted that a military confrontation was profoundly against the interest of both countries. Tensions have soared in recent times over trade, intelligence, and the pandemic. The China-U.S. relationship is crucial to both sides and the wider world, with Beijing repeatedly calling on the new administration in Washington to improve relations which deteriorated under President Joe Biden's predecessor, Donald Trump. And the European Union Commission has recommended easing restrictions on non-essential travel from overseas. Under the plans, anyone who has received the last dose of an EU-approved vaccine at least 2 weeks beforehand will be permitted to travel. The EU currently only allows non-essential travel from 7 countries, but the proposals will also contain an emergency brake allowing member states to limit travel quickly in response to new variants or a deteriorating health situation in non-EU countries. This would be reviewed every 2 weeks. Discussions on the plans will begin on Tuesday. An Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party has failed to win a key state in elections held amid record of COVID-19 deaths and cases. The Bharatiya Janata Party targeted West Bengal heavily during campaigning, but it was comfortably held by the incumbent Mahatma Banerjee, who is a fierce Modi critic. Her win came as a surprise to political observers who noted how much time and money the party invested in the state. Modi was accused of focusing on polls rather than the pandemic. Elections also went ahead in Assam, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala states, as well as the territory of Bundisherry. The party held power in the northeastern state of Assam, but failed to make major gains elsewhere. German police have arrested 3 men and a 4th is being held in Paraguay for allegedly running one of the world's biggest online networks for sharing images of child sex abuse. The international operation involving several police forces targeted a darknet platform called Boys Town, which has now been taken down. Officials say Boys Town has more than 400,000 registered users. They say some images showed the most serious sexual abuse of young children. The darknet is an internet area beyond the reach of mainstream search engines. The German-led investigation involved law enforcement agencies in the Netherlands, Sweden, Australia, the United States, and Canada. The European Union police agency Europol says it will also examine intelligence gained from the operation, and more arrests and rescues are to be expected globally on that basis. And that's KFM's news around the world, but before we go, a quick recap of the headlines. Charles Mercery names new government. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken accuses China of acting aggressively abroad. And German-led raid arrests 4 for child sexual abuse network. Do remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget you can listen to us anywhere in the world by visiting our website at www.kufm.net or download our mobile app from the Google Play Store. We are also on YouTube at KFM Nigeria. KFM's News Around the World was produced by Blessing Asekome. I am Omaya Ogbaide saying thanks for listening.